Charlie Kirk shot dead in Utah. Whick most affected. Yeah, what else are you saying? Dude, how stupid is she? Yes, that's what people are asking you to do. What are we saying? What are we saying?
The only person responsible, at the end of the day, for the killing of Charlie Kirk was the guy who pulled the trigger.
I mean, the fun is that they're so, like, empty. No? This is literally just, no, it's not. It's just Destiny is the only one saying this. Literally, Destiny is the only one with this position at all. We're gonna watch some of this. I don't know how much. It's literally 8 hours long. Wick's on here for 5 hours. There's Whick and his absolutely subhuman co-host, Tallybots. The dumbest motherfucker online. Literally the dumbest bitch going. Tallybots. A totally unbearable moron. Has to be said. Cannot be said enough. Cannot be overstated enough. Legit, there is no way to overstate how much of a unbearable, disgusting moron Tallybots is, truly. Tally might be dumber than Stardust. Stardust is less articulate. Tally's reasoning is worse, somehow.
I say Sitch here with another Sunday.
And yeah, they're here to, I don't know, Sitch and Adam are going to cry about how everyone hates white people now. How everyone's so mean to conservatives and white people. Wick's going to do some bullshit both sides, and Tallybot's going to sit there and nod along because she's a total worthless subhuman.
Sunday show with everyone's favorite Adam Friended, and today we're joined by Whick and Tally. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're
doing great.
Adam is a disgusting low IQ dog. Well, I don't think it's okay to compare people to animals like that. I think that's quite dehumanizing. But I understand where you're coming from. I certainly see your perspective.
We're okay. Okay.
We set this up before the Charlie Kirk incident happened, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
We did.
Yes. So it's just a coincidence. Yeah. But so, I mean, originally we were going to talk about the Ukrainian woman who was murdered on the train, but now, I mean, we might get to that a little bit, but now obviously, you know, the Charlie Kirk assassination has dominated the news cycle. And, you know, a lot of people, I didn't have a chance to watch it. A lot of people were pointing out that you had some very contentious streams about this, Whick. I don't know, where should we start this conversation? Because we talked about this obviously on Thursday.
Well, I mean, the stream came together because one of our fans super chatted us and said Whick was talking shit on his stream.
Oh my God.
About you.
They're always, literally, I'm going to steal some comments from Pisco here. I'm not going to lie, because I have already seen Pisco react to a bit of this. But they literally do every single time they bring someone on. It's always just a cry about the fact they've been getting mean replies on Twitter. It's every time Adam and Sitch do this. They're like, well, you guys are being really, you were really mean to me. You really hurt my feelings, that comment you made on your stream the other day. It's always the most bitch-made stuff in the world.
In particular, Sitch, somehow I came out unscathed. So I think I'd like to know the backstory on what the shit talking was.
You're talking smack about me.
Adam's law is 99% of politics is shit talking the other side, and 1% is actually about substance. So this actually falls into Adam's law.
Oh my God, please get a grip.
We'll see if it's the 99% or the 1%. But
yeah,
I just want to point out
dude. Adam and Hutch have the exact same mental disability. They both have a super rare, like, bespoke mental disability, and it's the exact same one. Like, everything is about the lefties that were mean to me on Twitter the other day, and that is the guiding point for everything. Tallybots actually has a little bit of that too.
This kind of framing of how
they're very, very deeply sensitive people, very easily like bruised.
Presented does play into the topic of media bias as well, right? Mm-hmm. Looking at someone and how they respond to things. So I saw a post that Sitch made on Twitter, and I have it up here. It's a pretty long one, but basically you're replying to someone about why you thought that the story of the Ukrainian woman who got murdered on the railway in Charlotte.
Okay, Loki Coco, that is like the most brain-dead read of anything that's going on that I've seen.
Was newsworthy, and your point, you had 2 points, right? That it was newsworthy.
If you've literally seen any Adam debate, then you would know how fucking retarded what you just said was. If you said any Hutch debate, you should know how fucking retarded what you just said was. Yeah, Adam is not a normie. Adam is a 40-year-old man who does a podcast almost every day of the week where he has deal with it glasses superimposed onto his face and an illustration of himself as Adam Jensen from the Deus Ex reboots on the screen at all times. That's not a normie. That's like an embarrassing, low IQ, goy cattle man-child.
Just by the facts of the case, right? Like a story of a woman fleeing a war zone to be tragically and randomly murdered by a crazy person,
can be
right?
a reboot.
And then your second point was that, and this is one I disagreed with, was that it was being
reboot isn't
purposely
remake.
subdued, or at least passed over or ignored because of media bias. I disagreed with that take. I didn't think there was a lot of evidence for that. I thought it could be explained by a lot more ways, and I said that on my stream when I did the stream about it. I don't know if you'd consider that talking shit, but that is why your super chatter super chatted to you, right? And,
well, did you say like, well, chat, I disagree with the very intelligent PSA Sitch here on this minor point, or did you say this fucking retard PSA Sitch here doesn't know what he's talking about?
Excellent question.
You know what? It is a good question. I wish I remembered my exact quote that day. It could have been either depending on my mood. Okay?
Could have been a little of both, maybe.
It might have been.
Yes, so true, dude. Sitch is Konstantin Kessin. Adam is Francis Foster. So true. So facts. So facts.
Fortunately, my memory has been destroyed by the recent few days. And like, you asked me how I'm doing, and I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not well with all this. Like the guy who was talking to Charlie Kirk when he got shot. I know that guy. I'm friends with that guy.
Dude, this is hilarious, man. Whick, trauma by proxy. Fucking trauma by proxy. Because he knows the Unfuck America retard who was debating Charlie Kirk when he got shot. So Whick has trauma by proxy, guys. Charlie Kirk shot dead in Utah. Whick most affected.
It is a good question. I wish I remembered my exact quote that day. It could have been
Cut Whick some slack. Some guy he was somewhat acquainted with saw Charlie game end in front of him, and he's been taking it very hard recently.
Thank you for the $5, that guy. Thank you.
Either, depending on my mood. Okay?
Could have been a little of both, maybe.
It might have been. Unfortunately, my memory has been
I was supposed to be on that plane
by the recent few days. And like, you asked me how I'm doing, and I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not well with all this. Like the guy who was talking to Charlie Kirk when he got shot. I know that guy. I'm friends with that guy.
Wow.
He's been on my show. Okay. So it's been a lot.
He gave a very
way more
It's
for
been
him
a lot.
than me.
How has it been a lot, Whick? How has it been a lot for you, man? You know a guy that was around a guy when he got shot. How is that a lot for you, Whick?
Obviously, yeah.
But like
what's his name?
Staxiums?
Yeah, he gave a very good interview about the situation. I was like,
It was a terrible interview. It was a terrible interview, and he's already saying that he whitewashed Charlie Kirk.
Talking to someone about it for like 40, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's the guy who interviewed Hunter Biden.
It is the guy that interviewed Hunter Biden, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And to be clear, because I know that there was a lot of like, whenever there's some incident like this, people jump out, they rush out with the crazy conspiracy theories. Everyone wants to kind of figure out what's going on, the situation. There was a lot of misinformation about people thinking that he was somehow involved. With the shooting, because he was asking him a question that was about the trans stuff and the trans shootings when the guy assassinated Charlie Kirk, and so people thought that, but no, this guy obviously nothing to do with it. He thought the shooting was horrendous. He definitely seems traumatized by the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I would recommend it's Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan, and it's the last person to debate Charlie Kirk exclusive interview. Got 3 million views already. It's a very good video. You guys should check it out afterwards.
Yeah, but the whole idea of I could have been there, right? It could have been me on that stage, or it could have been me at any other live event, right? That we go to, like the Ohio canvassing event I went to and other things, right?
Dude.
And the idea that someone out there thought it was okay to answer words.
I hate this. Why do these people keep saying the idea? Whick, nobody is wasting bullets on you, let alone fucking jail time. Okay, buddy? Do not sweat. Do not sweat, Whick.
With a bullet?
Yeah, a lot of people.
It's just a lot. It's just very... I don't like it. I'm scared for the country right now. I really legitimately fear for the state of our nation, and here we are, yeah.
Well, do you think it's is it the fact that Charlie Kirk was killed? Do you think that's like the scary thing to you, or the fact that he was killed and so many people seem to be cheering it on, and then so many people seem to be calling for retribution in response? That's more
yes
scary.
Is the answer to that.
Okay.
Obviously, the death itself, right? The killing, the murder.
I do have issues with Sitch. I think I heard Sitch say stuff that I totally disagreed with while I was listening to some of this earlier. I definitely disagree with a lot of what Sitch says. I have less heat for Sitch because he's at least saying something most of the time, you know? He's at least taking some kind of position most of the time. Adam will literally just sit there and fucking cry that people are mean to him for the entire show. Like, 90% of the times that I've watched this. It is like him just fucking crying about the fact people are mean to him on the internet all the time. He is worthless. He's just one of these people like Hutch, whose political ideology gets dictated by people being mean to them.
That's obviously a shock to our system because, while yes, there are killings in America, murders happen almost all the time. Unfortunately, even that same day, there was a school shooting, right? That no one talks about in Colorado, I believe, where some 16-year-old shot up a school, killed 2 children. But this hits a little different because of the reaction to it and how it's being, as you said, either celebrated or used as an excuse to.
Like, Adam literally got knocked around. Remember when Adam got totally fucking knocked around and had to quit the episode because of fucking tomfoolery? Remember when tomfoolery completely just knocked Adam around for like 20 minutes and he had to quit his own episode? Dude. That was crazy. No way Count Dankula is crying about Charlie Kirk. Oh my god. We are going to end up absolutely siding with Tom way more than Adam, I can see already. Where does he quit? He quits like here.
Against him because he's delusional.
Why?
So does that not apply to Trump? An authoritarian in the democratic context. I guess maybe it applies. You can kind of spin it as applying, as it can be a workable definition. But only like it's not a very good one.
Okay, then we're using completely different definitions of authoritarian.
Yeah, but so
I actually just got a new mic today.
Under your
it's
definition,
gonna sound even better tomorrow when it's
saying
coming preamp.
That someone cannot be delusional and authoritarian.
Someone can be delusional and authoritarian, obviously.
Okay,
obviously.
So give me an example. So what does that look like?
Saddam Hussein mistakenly executes 50 of the wrong people because he thinks they're conspiring against him because he's delusional.
Why?
So does that not apply to Trump? Wait, how does that not just apply to Trump? That's why he's just describing Jan 6 from his perspective. Like, what a fucking idiot. Dude.
Okay,
obviously.
So give me
There's a whole chain. I'm sure SM7B, I'm getting a Cloud Lifter CLZ. It's just the same as like the CL1, but with variable controls. And I've got an SSL2. I'm joking, I don't care.
Whick is sad because Charlie got shot because Whick is also on a stage sometimes. He is not sad about a school shooting, because he is not allowed around schools.
Thank you for the 100 Danish krona. I think it's Danish krona. Let you mirror. Yeah, it is the stereotype, Mike. It is the podcast stereotype, Mike. Yeah, I got raped. It's over. I'm going to talk about my audio for another couple of minutes, just because you did that to me. So yeah, I'm getting a Cloud Lifter CLZ that's arriving tomorrow because the SM7B transmits in like a really low volume, so you have to really bump the gain. So my gain is like right up to the top, and then I've got extra gain on my OBS, and I've had to apply a noise reduction filter to try and filter out the buzzing that's going to be in the background while I'm talking. What made you decide on the SM7B? Well, I already had an MV7, which is sort of like the budget version, the lower version. And everyone swears by the SM7B, and like if you want like a really good microphone, like you could get like the more expensive microphones. I'm keeping the MV7 because in case I want to change setup or anything, or have a second mic in at any point. I'm just gonna keep it as a spare. So That's the plan. But yeah, the SM7B, everyone swears by it. Everyone says it's a great mic. I know, like, you can get even better ones that are like, you know, like, I think the mics a lot of streamers have, like, super big streamers are like $1,000 mics. But the SM7B is like $400, something, $300. So it's like, it's not that bad.
So what does that look like?
Saddam Hussein
right.
Mistakenly executes.
Thank Michael for that tangent.
50 of the wrong people because he thinks they're conspiring against him because he's delusional.
Why is that authoritarian?
Because he is the law. He can do whatever he wants.
No, but so like what part of that? So the authoritarian part is the executing the people without trial? Is that the authoritarian part? I'm trying to ask you.
Dude, no way you can't answer. No way you can't answer. Yes, that is the authoritarian part, Adam. So yeah, wait. So Adam leaves over this.
So what does that look like?
Saddam.
So Sitch turns on Adam. Sitch actually wants to get an answer out of Adam. Like, what a fucking idiot, dude.
Okay,
obviously.
So give me an example. So what does that look like?
Saddam Hussein mistakenly executes 50 of the wrong people because he thinks they're conspiring against him because he's delusional.
Why is that authoritarian?
Because he is the law. He can do whatever he wants.
No, but so like what part of that? So the authoritarian part is the executing the people without trial? Is that the authoritarian part? I'm trying to ask you.
Dude, no way you can't answer. No way you can't answer. Yes, that is the authoritarian part, Adam. Yes.
So the authoritarian part is the executing the people without trial? Is that the authoritarian part?
Just say yes.
I'm trying to ask you. I'm trying to figure out this distinction here.
Dude, look, he cope laughs and look, dude, how upset is this guy?
Look, I'm done with this, okay?
Okay.
I'm literally done with you.
Okay.
Quits his own show. Quits his own show. Over the easiest question. It's just crazy, man. It's the easiest question. Is it authoritarian to execute people without trial? No, I'm leaving. Okay.
Call for a civil war. Yeah, I made a pretty anodyne tweet that day calling for de-escalation, right? Like, okay, this is enough. We need to tone down everything. We need to turn the temperature down. Stop trying to celebrate this. Stop trying to use this as an excuse to like fight your enemies or whatever. We just need to recognize we're all Americans. We're all citizens. We are all people and humans in this country. And I kid you not, over 1,000 comments telling me that we are going to fucking kill you, right? Like, and going through with like images of polar bears like mauling people and shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy the amounts of animosity that existed in that. And I thought it was a pretty tame statement to make. I don't know.
Yeah, well, people, I mean, right as it happens, people are going to be a lot more on edge, emotional about the situation. You hope that after, you know, a few days, some of the temper's cool. I think I've seen some people's tempers seem to be cool. Some have not. They seem to just keep going. And obviously social media plays a part in kind of roiling everyone up. It's, you know, to me, it's very disturbing because I do think that his murder, you know, theoretically, it could have been a moment where people came together. And obviously that's not at all what's happening whatsoever. I think largely because of the fact that there are so many people that were cheering this on, which, you know, to me, the interesting thing, one of the interesting things about so many people cheering it on is that even though the mainstream and all the, like almost every politician I think I've seen and every mainstream newscaster has, you know, said very strongly that that this is disgusting and this is horrible and you should never, you know, react to someone you don't agree with politically with violence, which is good. But then when you look at the comments and a lot of TikTokers and Instagram accounts, things like that, it's just nonstop, or not nonstop, but it seems like there's so many calls for violence. And the interesting thing to me is that there's so many people who are posting on accounts that have their real names on it, their real faces, their real pictures on it, who are calling for either more violence against people on the right or saying it was justified and all this other stuff. And that signifies that I think a lot of people who are on the left or the far left have completely been living just in this bubble world where they have no clue that saying something that extreme, that crazy, that batshit crazy online would be seen by most people as disgusting. And that's why there was a couple expos I saw that were interesting where people were completely shocked that there were all these people who had called for violence against Charlie Kirk's family were getting fired now. And they couldn't fathom it. And to me, I'm sitting here like, really? You're so out of touch with the world. You've not touched grass for so long that you didn't understand that you celebrating a political assassination or calling for someone to be murdered, you didn't understand that when that gets found out and you put your name behind it, that yes, there's a good chance you'll be fired or suffer some sort of penalty because of that.
Yeah, there's a couple things here.
Okay, I'm gonna be real. Most places in the real world, there is no penalty for that. At least in the UK. People here do not give a fuck if you celebrate death, celebrate the death of a political figure, celebrate the assassination, celebrate some fucking war thing happening. People talk shit at work and don't give a fuck all the time. Literally just incredibly common talk. Maybe in America you're like that. Not the case here. Certainly not the case here.
I have seen.
No, especially the Queen. Especially the Queen.
And it would be foolish of me to deny that there are a lot of people on the left who are celebrating this. There's videos of that.
Someone get in trouble over the death of the Queen? Yeah, I believe a radio presenter or some shit. Like mainstream media. I think got hit over it. If you're a normal person, people will just rip jokes by people dying the moment it happens. No one gives a fuck. You know, someone might give a fuck, obviously, but broadly, you're not expected to give a fuck. You're not expected to be super tactful.
Like you said, TikToks, Instagrams, and things like that. But I'm not sure it's as many as people want you to believe. I think that most people I've talked to in my circles, and maybe my circles are just different. Maybe my circles are just built better, okay? But 90% of the people I've talked to in my circles are, this is horrific, this is bad. Some of them have no sympathy, right? They don't particularly care, right? They're like, well, I didn't know Charlie Kirk. Okay, I disagreed with him, whatever, but he didn't deserve this, right? And I don't think that's necessarily, I don't demand grieving from strangers, right? Like,
sure.
I don't know the kids who were killed that day either. Like, it's sad, but, you know, I don't know them. I can only shed so many tears. But I will say that a lot of people are trying to portray it as everyone on the left. If you, like, I've seen Matt Walsh tweet about, Elon Musk has tweeted about this, that the left wants you dead. And I think that these comments are absolutely uncalled for. I think that it's further dividing us. And I think that there is a bit of a witch hunt going around with these doxing sites and things, because while yes, some are celebrating it, I've seen people post names and address, not names, but names and jobs, especially military members, who made posts that were merely critical of Charlie Kirk and saying, look, they're justifying his murder too. But their posts, at least in one case, specifically denounce violence. And they just say basically, well, I just don't care. And I think what he did was, what he said wasn't good and I don't like it, but he didn't deserve to die. And they're trying to use that and paint it as, look, they're calling for violence. They're condoning violence. We should fire them. And I think Hegseth is looking through the military members' posts and threatening to UCMJ anyone who spoke negatively about Charlie Kirk that day. And I think that's just uncalled for.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I mean, Whick, I largely agree with you. I don't think most people are celebrating his death. And I think there are a lot of people who fall into the more milquetoast category of like, I didn't agree with what he had to say, but violence is never the answer. But there's two things about that. One is that some of the people who make that statement,
This
I mean,
bitch
that's
is
how
worthless, man.
that's
I
basically how
can't
a
listen to it,
Tiger
man.
talks. That's like kind of what Nick Fuentes is saying, right? Like, it's very easy to say like, well, yeah, no one should be killed. And then you go on to say like, but this person is an existential threat to your life and to our democracy and to our society. So that's one. I think a lot of people justify.
So, okay. So you're supposed to lie about what you think about them? So you're supposed to not mention the fact that Charlie Kirk, as part of Turning Point Action, paid for numerous buses full of his own students that trusted him to lead them to the Capitol on January 6th to betray their country? You're supposed to not mention that he was a despicable piece of shit that did shit like that. You're supposed to not say that. No, I think we will say that, actually. No, I think we will say it. Shouldn't have died. Shouldn't have been killed for it. But those students trusted Turning Point. And he paid for them to be sent to the fucking Capitol on January 6th to be whipped up into a frenzy to betray their country.
Even when they condemn explicitly, you know, the murder and the violence. So we saw a lot of this after the Luigi Mangione shooting and after the embassy shooting, where people they condemn the violence, but, you know, it's the big giant buts. And so are those people necessarily like, is that stochastic terrorism? Are they like firing the flames? I don't know, not necessarily, but there's something very grim and ugly about it. And the second thing is like the bizarre, Melissa Chen made a post about this, and I can't remember her exact words, and she was much more eloquent than I'm about to be. But the need that people feel to throat clear with like, well, I didn't agree with everything that he says, but no one should be killed for sharing their ideas. Like, so when you feel the need to put that in, I didn't agree with him thing, it's like, so you're just coming out and saying that murder is bad. Like, wow, brave. Like you take away from the
yeah. What else are you saying, dude? How stupid is she? Yes, that's what people are asking you to do. Huh? What a fucking idiot, seriously.
The power of the condemnation when you feel the need to put so many asterisks.
I agree and I disagree. And I don't want to hog the conversation. I want to let you guys get your words in too. But just real quick, I do think that there is a power in saying, I didn't like this man. I agreed with him on nothing. But the only thing we did agree on is that no one should be harmed for their speech. I think that showcases that even if you dislike someone,
they don't believe
you're
that.
willing to stand up for their beliefs and stand up for
They
them.
don't believe that.
I don't necessarily think that's throat clearing. I think that's planting a firm flag and saying, yeah, red team, blue team, doesn't matter. On this, we will defend you no matter what you say, right? You will never face violence.
That would probably be a better way to say it. And again, I do sort of agree with you. And there was someone else who respectfully challenged what Melissa was saying and made a similar point that actually it's an even stronger statement, right? Yeah. When you can say that you should, you know, that I condemn this even for my, you know, political enemies or something like this. But I don't know, a lot of people, it just feels like, it actually feels like a virtue signal, I think is actually what it is. A lot of times, like you can't be seen condemning it if you don't also condemn him. You know, I guess that's
no, dude. She's got it backwards. Murder is bad is the virtue signal. I condemn political violence in all its forms. That's the virtue signal. I didn't fucking agree with this guy. I didn't fucking like him. That's the actual opinion. That's honest. That's honest. The other part is a platitude. It's a platitude. It's there to say, yeah, I don't want him to die, obviously. It's there to lower your fucking defenses. It's there to make people stop being so fucking crazy. Obviously, everyone thinks murder is bad. It's like a presupposed point, really. It's like you just assume that people think murder is bad because it's kind of unjustified killing. It's kind of part of it. Yeah, obviously. So coming out and saying, yeah, I condemn it. Obviously, yeah, that's a virtue signal because it should be a given.
Frustrating. And I feel as someone who liked Charlie Kirk. Like I was a fan of his, you know, and when you're a fan of someone, you develop like a parasocial relationship. And that's not even like on the table in a lot of like liberal, not that I expect liberals to like Charlie Kirk, but it does feel like it's a virtue signal to be like, well, yes, of course, I think he's a bad guy, you know, like I think he's a really bad person with terrible beliefs. And if I say all that, then am I allowed to say that the violence is not acceptable? It does feel like a little bit of that is going on. And again, I think it's so easy to say murder is wrong. I don't know. I don't know how many cookies people should receive for that, but right. I don't want people to escalate the rhetoric. So
I think this, when it comes to the whole, like, I didn't agree with him, but he shouldn't be killed. I think there's two very clear connotations. There's the one that you're talking about, Whick, which is I don't know if you ever saw the episode of Futurama, you know, with the guy's like, I don't agree with you, but I'll defend your right to say it to the death. And he's like, waving the American flag.
Right.
Yes, right. Like, so there's that connotation, which I think that connotation would be very, that's like a very good connotation if someone has it in that fashion. Now, I've seen some people say it like that. I think I've seen most people say it in the other fashion, the other connotation, the connotation that Tali's talking about, where to me, it comes off as like a defense mechanism of a signal to say to people on the left, look, I'm like, you know, don't attack me. I think that he was, you know, a bad man who had bad opinions too, but I don't think he should be killed. It does seem like that. Like, which to me is very interesting that it shows that so many people need, or they feel compelled to throw that out there, to like be afraid of getting attacked by their own team in that way. And I don't know if you saw because, you know, Harry Sisson, I'm saying his name right,
No, I think
I think
so.
it was Dean Withers, not Harry. If you're about to,
a few of them.
Oh, sorry, Dean Withers. Yeah, you're right. Dean Withers had that. He is very, very, very strongly against the Charlie Kirk being killed.
Yeah.
And then there's that clip going around.
Thank you for $10,
where he
bro.
was,
Thank you.
Being berated, I think by a black woman. Yeah, through a struggle session here, and that's so many people's, I think, on the left's experience is that. I even was listening to Some More News was kind of covering it, and it was fascinating because there was a person on Some More News is very left wing. I think they're practically socialist, and they even had some guest speaker on who was talking about how oftentimes it's not the commentator that radicalizes people, it's the comment section, and the comment sections will generally be far more extreme, and sometimes you don't even know if they're bots or foreign actors or whatever. And it was interesting because they were talking about, I mean, obviously they did not like Charlie Kirk, and they're going to throw in the whole thing that he's had horrible views, but then also throwing in the whole, like, it was completely horrible, and they'll watch him, get shot. And, the woman was talking about, she was like crying about this and how horrible it was, and, et cetera, et cetera. So then I go look at their comment section, and a lot of the comments are like, he deserves to die. And like all the worst shit fucking ever. And it's just, this is where I think the rubber meets the road here. Is there's a lot of people on the left who are saying that this is horrible, and that's fantastic, that's great, this is horrible. But if the next day comes or the next week comes and everything goes back to business as usual, then I'm not going to take their thought process or their comments about this seriously.
Okay, well, what does Sitch think these people need to change? That's what I want to hear. Prescription. What do you think they need to be changing? Because right now it sounds like you want people to not describe their honest beliefs about Charlie Kirk, about Trump, about MAGA. That sounds like the prescription is don't accurately and honestly describe them, because that makes them sound really bad. That sounds like what they want. That sounds like what a lot of conservatives are saying right now. And even centrist retards like Sitch Adam.
There needs to be an actual wake-up call. And I do think, even though the right is saying, and some very unhinged shit too right now, I do think it has to start with the left at the moment, because I think the left is a lot more in the bubble of not understanding that their views are fucking horrible.
How can you say this? The left is more in a bubble of not understanding how horrible their views are, while the right is like demanding the abolition of due process and free speech and like what are we saying? What are we saying?
There needs to be this sort of, okay, we need to very strongly signal.
The Supreme Court just ruled that you can racially profile, actually. Oh, left-wingers are just in such a bubble that they didn't realize how horrible their beliefs are.
To our audience, that political violence is not acceptable, that this level of hatred and vitriol is not acceptable. We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we believe in democracy and voting and solving our problems through not violence.
I think a lot of these people have already been indoctrinated, though. So I'm very black-pilled about this. I don't think a bunch of influencers are going to come in and change the audience that they've created, because it's the confirmation bias is a bitch. It's just going to kick in. It's going to be like, well, you've been telling us for
Adam saying this is so crazy
that conservatism is synonymous with fascism. What changed? Like, this changed overnight? No, they're not going to buy that. They're totally not going to buy that. They're going to move on to other content creators who are going to give them what they want. The belief that they were told the first time they encountered online politics on the internet, which is so super sad. Yeah. This is why the retraction never makes any waves, because it's confirmation bias. Confirmation bias kicks in. Somebody hears something for the first time, and it's stuck. It's stuck in their minds.
There's a couple things. I do want to respond to what you just said, Adam, and I also want to respond to Sitch's talk here. And it's interesting to me. It's a little ironic. Friday I had Destiny on my show, and I was arguing with him basically. And Tali was there too, right? And we were both arguing, like, hey, because Destiny's take was the right has to do it.
Wait, heading, boy.
Trump and the right, they're the ones that have to tone down the rhetoric first, and we're not going to do it unless they do it. And I fought back against that, because I don't think that's right. But also, I don't know if the left has to do it first either. Like, when both sides are saying, well, the other has to do it first, I don't think that's helpful, and I don't think that's going to get us anywhere, because neither side's going to do it, right? What we can do, though, and what I advocate for, is I can do it within my community, right? And I can do it within the people around me. And I don't have to wait for the other side. I don't have to wait for anyone else to do it, right? And if my audience doesn't like that, which some haven't, right? They can leave. They can go elsewhere. Okay, we got to be willing to take that hit. Because to Adam's point about a lot of people will just go with the confirmation bias, and if the influencer they're listening to doesn't agree with them, they will move on to another influencer. That will happen as well. But maybe I'm just naive, but I don't think that's going to be all of them. And I don't think we have to get rid of this entirely. We can just tone it down even by 30, 50%, and that's good, right? That's a good thing to do. Does that make sense?
A huge portion of the left believes that conservatism is synonymous with fascism, okay? What is the equivalent?
Okay, I don't believe that to be true. Most people on the left do not believe conservatism equals fascism. But they probably do think MAGA is fascism. Again, a Pisco point I'm saying. They probably do think MAGA is fascism. And that's not really unreasonable. Like, fight that claim. If you disagree with that claim, fight the claim. Don't just cry that people are saying it, you know?
Meme on the right that's just as toxic as that.
The left are coming to kill you.
Now, how many people on the right do you think believe the left?
It's like, literally, Sam Hyde is sitting there posting, they want your sisters raped, they want your daughters raped and transed, and they want to kill you, and they want to rape you. It's like, literally, this is half of the right wing right now.
They're coming to kill you. And
I think more today than was a few days ago, right?
What is the manifestation of that meme? Can you give examples of it? I mean, well, I can pull up 1,000 examples from CNN of commentators saying Trump praised neo-Nazis, which I think is the ultimate expression of conservatism being synonymous with fascism. What is the equivalent of that on the right? Look, and I'll give you an example.
Well, the left is a bunch of communist perverts who are.
I watched the gay clip, like this is you. This is your sister. I watched that shit that everyone's been posting. It's just like the most blatant. Like it's like literally paint by numbers, white nationalist propaganda. It's like literally the most paint by numbers shit you could possibly come up with. It's like as bad as the fucking Tommy Robinson thing the other day where they play that shit AI song. They flash up a picture of all the brown fucking rapists and then like the stock image B-roll of a little white girl crying. It's like, well, they're saying the 14 words. It's like, okay, well, this is like not even subtle, is it? It works on like the bottom level dregs of society. That's what it works on, okay? It works on like the most just degenerate people alive. That's who it works on. Yeah, it works on the most ugly, fat, broke white men you know. And Hispanic too. And Hispanic too, somehow. Like, it's good for firing those people up, but I truly think, like, the more loud these people get, the more motivated everyone else will get. I don't think it's as sold as people think it is. There seems to be a lot of doomerism right now from some people, where they're like, oh, Nigel Farage is going to be the next prime minister. The US is going to be a Nazi state. I just don't think that most people are okay with that. I think most people are kind of seeing it.
Your guns, your kids, and your property.
Okay.
That's pretty standard in different variations on the right. And I think so. I do think where I feel frustrated as a centrist, I don't whatever to label myself, is like both sides truly believe that their side has been the calm, nonviolent one, and that the other side poses an existential threat to their well-being. Both of the sides who are as sort of like bought in firmly believe this. So like that.
Okay. Again, Tally, I hate that people do this. It's like, this is the most low IQ shit in the world. They are not both equally true. They are not equally true, okay? Both sides might think that, but they're not equally true, and you're not doing anything to combat the argument. So, combat the argument.
And I guess, like, my frustration is, I think the people on the left who are saying, like, you know, this rhetoric and political violence, this is obviously a right-wing problem. Those people they're wrong. Some of them are lying, right? But they're wrong, and they're stuck in their own little bubbles. But people on the right are saying the exact same thing. Like, to me, there's obviously, now arguably, you could argue that the left has been sort of more radicalized, and so like the threat of fascism,
low IQ people when they want to say some shit. Both sides bad.
Maybe they are more likely to engage with the threat of fascism with violence than the right is to engage with the threat of communism or transgenderism with violence. But I think an honest assessment is that both sides do frame the other side as like trying to ruin our country, trying to take away from the life that you enjoy.
Well, I would want to see the numbers on how many people have been indoctrinated with that meme that you're talking about. I would think if we look at the actual numbers, I would think the indoctrination levels of young people thinking that the left is what was your meme?
We're the left is all commie scum coming to take your kids, your guns, and
your property,
in your property. Yeah,
maybe to trans your kids. I see that meme around occasionally. I don't know how big a buy-in it is. I don't know if Fox News is out there actively promoting that the left wants to trans your kids. I mean, maybe they are.
I actually kind of think, and again, well, I don't have numbers to back any of this
where would
up,
we?
but like,
I'm just curious, real quick, where would we find the numbers on this? Like, I just don't know if there is like a.
Well, there was a poll talking about, and I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it, where they were talking about how Gen Z thinks political violence is okay.
Yeah, that violence is an appropriate response to preventing speech that you disagree with.
Look, I think you can make a cogent argument that political violence is a correct response to fascism, to actual fascism. But
it would also be the correct response to someone to taking your property too, right? Like there are incidences where violence is okay, right? There's incidences where violence is justified even. But
my argument is classifying bog standard conservatism as fascism. I think that's where.
Okay. Very few people do that, Adam. That is a very, very niche position held almost exclusively by like the most transgender, the most autistic, we are talking the bottom of the bottom here with that position. That's like the same people who make those tweets about how, like, you know, bedtimes are fascism. How when people tell you to make your bed, that's actually fascism. Because it's reinforcing ideas of duty and order that are used in the military. You know, like, that's the type of position that Adam was. So very few people think this way.
Where the problem is coming in. And I see constantly, I see so many people that just believe conservative means fascist. It's a fascist ideology. And I see what you're talking about, Tally, to some extent, but I don't see it as widespread. I don't see.
No, they don't. Okay. The demon types make up like no one anymore. They're like gone. There's like none of those around anymore. Where are all the demon mama types? Point me to them. Demon mama's not even around anymore. She quit because she got exposed to grooming or whatever. Point me to the demon mama types. Where are they? Seriously, where are they? Loki Coco. You think these people take up a big chunk of online activity on the left? Where are they? Who are they? Name them. No, even online. It's not common anymore. Where are they? Seriously, name them. I'm waiting. Not literally as camp as Demon Mama, but the girls on TikTok are serious about their leftist shit. Okay, so we're not talking about Demon Mama types anymore. We're not actually talking about Demon Mama types now. We're talking about, like, college student leftists on TikTok. So we're not even talking about, like, persistent content creators, really. We're not talking about, like, political commentators. We are talking about the occasional TikTok you see where some bitch with a nose ring is saying like, homework deadlines are fascism. That's what we're talking about now. There's no significant content creators that are like this. No big commentators that are like this. Pretending Hassan's like that is totally fucking delusional, given that he immediately condemned the violence the other day. Had like a totally fine response that you can only bitch about if you're desperately looking for problems. Loki is not worth seriously engaging with, man. It's just every stream on God. I know. But this is the only person retarded enough to disagree. I'm saying there are dramatic people on the left. Okay, that's not what you said, is it? You said demon mama types make up a massive proportion of online activity from the left. That's not true. That was totally untrue. That was completely fucking untrue. That's a complete fabrication that your psychotic, brain-damaged mind has concocted to justify a vibe because you just want to say both sides bad repeatedly.
Just a constant flow of this. Everyone on the left is a communist baby killer.
I hear you, and maybe it's not exactly 1-to-1. I just think it's like it's pretty abundant.
Do you think
I'm
Charlie Kirk made that argument that everyone on the left is a communist baby killer?
No,
Wants to steal your money and
no, definitely not. I think well, so no, absolutely, I do not think that at all. People can clip lots of things that Charlie Kirk has said, right, or lots of one-off statements or punchy responses to try to make it sound like that. But no, he spoke with a lot of nuance, and he was someone who spoke all the time. So we got to hear really like
the Charlie Kirk equivalent on the left constantly says that conservatism is synonymous.
Spino was in chat earlier.
Like Destiny will say that. Hassan will say that. They constantly say this stuff.
But just real quick, like
when does Destiny has never said conservatism is fascism? I've never heard Destiny say that. He'll say MAGA is fascism. Argue with that claim.
Isn't the only influencer on the right, and I can point to a lot of people, especially if you just take influencers, right, on the right side, who are absolutely convinced 100% that the left is going to destroy them, right, and they are in an existential battle between good. We
criticize those, yes. Elijah Schaffer, I think, is one, but he's not on the same level as Charlie Kirk. He's not on the same level as Hassan. Yeah, because I don't think that message. Oh, so you're saying there's a lot of them, but they're smaller. Who are they?
Yes. Oh God,
your argument is in aggregate they have the numbers of Hassan or
I don't know if they have
the
bigger
numbers. I
don't know if they're a 1-to-1 equal, because you could be right.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how many people are indoctrinated with this toxic fucking meme that the other side is irredeemable.
My issue, hold on just real quick. My issue with your framing here, Adam, is that while I agree with you 100%, the people who are conflating all of conservatism, bog standard stuff with fascism is a problem. I would contend it is not the problem. The problem is the constant reciprocal radicalization that is happening in this country, where both sides are using the extreme actions of the other sides and the extreme beliefs of the other side to justify radicalizing further and going further with their own stuff. And I think that this is a perfect example of this happening in real time, that a lot of people on the right, I see more and more and more.
MAGA is not just neocon. It's literally fucking brain dead to say MAGA is just neocon. Fascism is ultra-nationalist / plus authoritarian. Yeah, okay. So what is defying the Constitution to focus power in the executive in a way that's completely unaccountable. So making the president completely immune to any criminal prosecution. So what is making it so racial profiling is allowed? What is it when you strip the right to the First Amendment from any immigrant, basically? What is it when you start pushing to remove birthright citizenship and start denaturalizing people for their speech? I would say that's all pretty ultra-nationalist plus authoritarian. Fucking retard.
Or are justifying, like, okay, we tried peace, now let's go to war.
What is it when you try and overturn an election?
I'm not saying it's all of them.
The numbers matter, though. Like, if one strategy is effective...
What is it when you deploy National Guard into the states against the governor's consent, exclusively in blue states? Like...
The other strategy is not effective. Obviously,
what are we saying here? It's so fucking retarded.
Every single conservative into a white supremacist, right? I don't think they're being effective. I don't think they're working. But there are
more than they were a week ago.
Okay, yeah, maybe now that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. But I think on the left there are elements that want to paint every single right winger as a fascist, and in turn want to make every single left winger a radical. And I think that strategy is working, and I think the fallout from the Charlie Kirk assassination is just like
what is it when you try and gut the entire civil service and replace it with loyalists? We can keep going. What is it when you deport random people against court orders and then try to refuse to bring them back against a court order and then have to be demanded by the court to bring them back from the foreign concentration camp you sent them to?
How well it has worked. These people, they live in a completely different reality. They think we're in the midst of World War II here, and that Charlie Kirk is the second coming of Hitler, and he just got killed.
But there again,
to be fair, though,
hold on, I know you have to go, so go ahead, Talia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, I think like the left is kind of predisposed to this. So again, like, I think, Adam, I really do think that there is like kind of a lot of this type of rhetoric, not calls for violence, but just like framing the opposition as evil and maniacal. I think a lot of that does come from the alt-right media space, or the alt media space on the right.
Elon Musk is the guy.
No, I don't. No. Leaning right is not always leaning fascist, depending on how far right you are, because you can be libertarian, right? It's like, you know, I do think of things kind of in the political compass terms a little bit, even though I think it's kind of retarded. You know, it's not fascist to be like a ANCAP, right? If you're like an actual ANCAP, you're not a fascist at all. Like, that would be retarded. Like, it's not authoritarianism. You can make arguments about people's freedoms being restricted because of the power of corporations and stuff, but it's not authoritarian because it's not concentrating power in the state. You know? So I just don't agree that if you're right-leaning, you automatically lean towards that fascism. That's just not true.
With billions of dollars, who is willing to put billions of dollars into our social media where all this is spreading, he's telling people you need to fight or you will die, right? The left will kill you. He's saying that, and he said that.
I think there can be like auth-left fascism, but I wouldn't say either auth-right or auth-left are inherently fascist.
Several tweets recently.
Well, so interestingly, wait, so on that point, this is back to what I was saying before.
It's like, you know, fascism tends to fall on the auth-right. That's generally where it lands, but I think there probably are forms of ultra-nationalist authoritarianism fall on the left. Yeah, exactly. But Bush, probably a good example of authoritarian right, but not fascist. You could make arguments there were leans in some policies, but I think it's a tenuous argument. It's like quite a it's about the Patriot Act and shit like that. It's a little bit more tenuous. It's not anywhere near as clear as Trump, I don't think. Anyway, guys, I haven't showed in ages. 450 people watching right now. 110 likes on stream. So almost 350 people. And please move the cursor to the thumbs up and clicking it. Pressing a thumbs up on the mobile device. That'd be hugely appreciated. If you want to take your support one step further, you can do it directly through a stream elements link in the pin chat message. You can also buy a membership to the channel, gift a membership to the channel, gift a whole bunch of memberships randomly throughout the chat. Buy a super chat, which will highlight your message and read it out on TTS. Or buy a super sticker, which YouTube image gift will be highlighted in the channel or subscribe to you. You can go to discord.gg/Kuihman, twitter.com/Kuihman, reddit.com/Kuihman. Thank you.
So is like both sides think that they're in self-defense right now. So that's what Elon Musk is saying, right? Like if you...
Okay, dude, Loki Gogo, people describing Trump's policies as fascist, okay? It's not an insult. No one's saying it's not an insult. We're describing policies and actions taken in government that could be very easily characterized as fascist, that fit the definition. It's not an insult. I'm laying out to you all the premises that lead to the conclusion. It's not an insult. It's not just... Trump's a fascist. This guy sucks.
If you don't fight now, they're literally going to kill you. And when we were talking to Destiny on that panel the other night, he views it essentially as the same way. Like, they're coming for us. We can't just lay down our arms. Destiny literally said our options are to like fight back tit for tat or to be exterminated. And then when I watched his stream, his first iteration of it, he was calling it genocide. So he's not far left wing, really, Destiny.
Everyone.
So this is common on the left, though. I mean, I even think.
Okay. So, Timmy T, ask yourself, fascism, so you're saying fascism is more like rounding up all the political opposition and implementing a one-party system. Okay, so why would that be fascism to you? Because it's in an extrajudicial way, you're contravening the Constitution, you're going against Constitution to break the political system in your favor. Trump does that. Trump is doing that. So, the constituent parts are there. You're saying, oh, well, it's not quite at the level yet to where I want to call him a fascist. Okay, you're not really arguing on the substance there. You're saying, oh, it doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't feel right to me.
Just to like RBG, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Before her body was in the ground, leftists were coming out saying, we're not going to whitewash the racist ass history of, this woman. I remember that very clearly while I was mourning the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. People saying, well, she was racist towards Native Americans and she voted this way and did this thing. And so the left, like, there's a segment of the left, at least, who really like finds joy in this, and it's their natural inclination, kind of no matter whether the person's on the left or the right. Like, their natural inclination is to purity spiral, basically, about everyone. So I don't think it's like it's not I guess that's another thing too, is like,
yeah. So Timmy, I've got a threshold. When you make an attempt, if you have made an attempt to rig or break the political system, and you have like a few other factors, that's far enough for me. What's your threshold? That seems like your threshold as well. That's what you said. You said about rounding up political opposition. So what's your threshold? Does it literally have to be explicitly rounding up political opposition? What if Trump simply just breaks the electoral system in a way where Republicans can never lose again? What if he goes for a third term? Obviously, any reasonable person would look at these things and go, oh, okay, that breaches my authoritarianism barrier here. He's already tried to overturn the election. He's already tried to steal the presidency.
It really is worth making distinctions because the people like Hassan Piker et al.
I mean, look, I say the George Bush stuff about 2000 kind of tongue-in-cheek, okay? I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. I haven't actually done a lot of reading about that, and I don't know what George Bush's involvement was even. My understanding is people just have... I read an argument that was good one time about the court decision that was made that resulted in Bush winning, and so I say it kind of tongue-in-cheek.
Again, they would say a lot of the same things that they're saying about Charlie Kirk, about like bog standard liberals. In one of the many freaking articles and interviews that Hassan has been doing in the last few days, because for some reason Charlie Kirk dies and everyone wants to talk to Hassan Piker about it. But in one of the many interviews, he was saying, you know, like, it's the liberals who cozy up to Kirk, basically. The liberals didn't see Kirk as a threat to their way of life. So like the people on the left who are being super callous at the death of Charlie Kirk, and they would do the same for the death of
Biden,
Josh Shapiro, or Destiny, even, frankly, which is kind of the irony of Destiny taking this.
But yeah, to engage with that point though, because I actually didn't really engage that point. I probably would say George Bush was a fascist if it was shown to me based on the other things George Bush did in his presidency with, Patriot Act, shit like that. I probably would, not 100%, but I think I probably would take the position that if he stole that election that was shown to me, then I probably would call him a fascist. I think that'd be enough.
Approach.
So people are going to make the calls. I don't think pointing to people making the calls...
As long as he had like a direct involvement, it wasn't just like a decision by the court that was like sort of, you know, there was good reason for it. It would depend on the arguments, obviously.
Is relevant because it's the number of people who take up the call.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what George Bush's involvement, George Bush didn't steal that election on purpose. I know what his involvement was. It's not like the Eastman memo shit. It's not like having a full slate of electors prepared to send to the state certification thing or whatever. My understanding is it was a decision made by the courts that just went in his favor.
That is the relevant thing. Scott Adams said the same exact thing Elon Musk is saying now before the election, that if the Democrats won, Republicans were going to be hunted. Okay. This was before the 2020 election. When Biden won, no one was ever hunted. People laughed it off. Nobody ever took up the call. Obviously, Elon is making up for lost time here because of the situation. Maybe people do take up Elon's call now. Elon wasn't making this call 2 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh, so, yeah, of course. His brother was, his brother was the governor. It's true. It's true.
I just, in my sense of this whole situation is the left is eager to take up the call. There are people on the right that are eager to take up the call. I don't think they have the numbers. I don't think they have the numbers.
I think that, to echo my co-host here, the left, I think you're painting with way too broad a brush. I think the far left, I'll give you. On the far, like the tanky left, the illiberal left, I like to call them, I might even grant you that. But when people say the left, they're including me and liberals and just bog standard Democrats, which I think is the majority of the Democratic Party. And I don't think I don't see that within my cohort. I don't see it at all. And I know maybe I'm in a bubble.
See the callousness. I see the callousness in the rank and file Democrats.
Callousness is different, I think.
It's concern, though. I saw the callousness and rank.
Yeah, Timmy, you're just like not listening to shit I'm saying now. You're like, or not engaging or something. I said it would have to be paired with other factors, but I'm saying that on the authoritarianism point, it would cross my threshold for being so authoritarianism that if paired with nationalist actions, which in both Trump and Bush's case is true, it would be enough. Yeah, so you're like not responding to the point that I made. You're like not actually responding to what I said.
Rank and file Democrats after the Luigi Mangione shooting. And again, that actually really shocked me. Like, I was shocked at how many normal people that I know who really aren't like far left crazy.
Yeah, obviously if you steal the election and the rest of your policy platform is we love immigrants and communism and free healthcare for whatever the fuck for everyone. Yeah, you wouldn't call that person a fascist. Obviously. I said as much in my definition. Like, it's so fucking retarded. In fact, that might be it's so close to a timeout.
Kind of liberals, whatever, who were like, but we really do have a problem with healthcare in this country. Like just like instantly going to justify it. So I get so I don't know. I agree with everyone here. I'm super black pilled. Like I don't know where the
take a side, Charlie. Okay?
I can't. I can't. Yeah.
But I guess I disagree with Destiny's advocacy and what he wants to do, but he does have a point when he says that there are a lot of people in power and positions of governmental power on the right who do see us, and influence on the right, who do see this as a war and want us to fight and want the right to take up arms. How effective that's going to be, I don't know if it's even helpful to play, well, the Democrats do it more, the Republicans do it more. Oh, we could play that game. I don't think we should, though. I think we should just condemn it whenever it happens and whoever happens to say it by turning it into this like game that we play, right? That you see people playing with anytime some sort of tragedy or horrific event happens, people are always going to try to turn it into a weapon against their political enemies. I find that gross. I find that disgusting. I don't like it when the right wing does it. I don't like it when the left wing does it. Everyone's like, well, look, it was a white man that killed blah, blah, blah. Or look, it was a Republican that did X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter. Because not all Republicans are bloodthirsty animals. Not all Democrats are bloodthirsty animals. The only person responsible at the end of the day for the killing of Charlie Kirk was the guy who pulled the trigger. And trying to say the left is responsible for that is crazy.
I completely disagree. I mean, if that guy believed half of the insane lies I'm seeing about Charlie Kirk on the internet now, then I don't know how you can say it was just simply him. Like it's probably going to come out that the guy believed he was a fascist, that he believes all of this insane shit about how Charlie Kirk advocated to lynch trans people. Like he's probably going to believe that.
Maybe that is very possible. But again, there's a lot of people who believe that, who also didn't believe that he deserved death because of it.
Okay, Charlie Kirk didn't advocate to lynch trans people, but he did say that if you are a father of a young girl who's at a school that allows trans kids or whatever to compete in the sport their desired or, whatever gender is, then you, as a father, should physically intervene to stop them. So, what? No, he didn't say you should lynch them. That would be a crazy thing to say. But he did say you should get physical with children over it. I think that's bad enough. I think that's bad enough, to be honest.
Right? And that's the difference. Because I can believe that someone is a bad person, even a fascist, really. I can believe someone is doing harm to this country. But I would never, ever advocate or believe that they should die because of that. I just don't think that's not within me as a person, right? That's the difference at the end of the day. Because frankly, I disagreed with a lot of what Charlie Kirk said, too. Does that mean I'm celebrating or condoning violence against him? Absolutely not. And I think that this kind of conflation of, well, everyone who shares the same beliefs about Charlie Kirk would kill him.
Charlie Kirk said that the U.S. should treat its border with Mexico like Israel treats its border with Gaza. He said he respects that. He thinks they should do that. What that means exactly, who knows? What that means exactly, who knows? I guess we just never know.
I mean, there's just something completely sinister about killing someone who is completely innocent of the crimes he's been accused of. So I understand what you're saying, that we should foster a culture where anybody can do anything within the bounds of the law and they don't deserve a death sentence.
Absolutely.
But just not grappling with a culture that completely demonizes a person unfairly, the same way that Jordan Peterson has been demonized, the same way that Ben Shapiro has been demonized. It's just, I mean, you're just sidestepping the number one issue. The number one issue is,
I mean, Ben Shapiro's
that
kind of
people can systematically demonize people, turn them into something that they are not, to the point where someone is going to pick up a gun and murder them. I mean, I just like that.
Well,
if we're talking about, look, I'm going to defend your right to free speech, I think I'm willing to have that conversation about what people are saying. At this point, I'm like, oh, we're in a completely different world here.
Covered that, Perry.
It is completely blackpilling, because I don't, these people have been, look, it is easier to fool a man than to convince him he has been fooled. And we are swimming in fools. We have fools up to our eyelids here.
I don't disagree. I don't think that you were looking at it in a way that is balanced. And I understand why, because I don't. I'll just grant you, I have my biases, okay? And I know that there are certain issues that I can look at that I am I'm going to be tilted on, right? I'm going to be stilted on. I'm going to be one way on, and I recognize that I have to work to kind of overcome that to really help me see the other side's
Whick,
point of view.
Look at how I'm framing this, okay? There's a number of right-wing radicals out there in the world, okay? An actual number that we could write on a piece of paper. There's an actual number of these NPC, violence loving left-wingers out there, okay? A number that we could write on the paper. What is there to be balanced about? Do you honestly believe that that number is like a 50-50 situation, that they're equal numbers?
I think that yes, I think that it is, I don't know if it's like exactly 50-50. It might be 60-40 or 55-45, but there is a growing cohort on both sides that are thinking that extreme action is the answer to this. And I see this because I interact a lot with right-wingers who come into my show. And again, the posts I've made since this,
right, okay,
mostly, and I'm sure you get
like
the
that's
opposite, right?
Obviously not. That's not an obvious.
Wait, I hadn't seen this.
Accurate representation.
Dude, no way. Bad Empanada hit the most poorly fucking aged video of all time a month ago. That's crazy.
Presentation. It's like you're out there looking for right wingers to bring into your panel. So, yeah, and your whole panel is structured to be like a 50-50 situation.
I'm not talking just about my panels, though. I'm talking about my viewers. I'm talking about my audience. I'm talking about the people I interact with on Twitter. I'm talking about people I act with in my real life.
The fucking polymarket. Dude, the polymarket like graph just dropping on will Charlie Kirk be president of the United States? It's just like it's like what, like 40% chance it drops down to 2% chance. It's just like so stupid, man.
Look, I don't know. I don't know what the number is either. Okay, so. But I just in that situation, I don't like. I'm not reaching for this has to be balanced because, for all I know, it's 90% on one side.
But even if it was 90% on the right, I would still condemn it across the board, is what I'm saying. Because I don't think like turning it into an issue of right versus left is going to put the people who are on the other side of the issue, who identify as right or identify as left, is going to raise their heckles. They're going to become defensive about it, and it's going to be much harder to fix the problem. But if you make the problem into a neutral one where you aren't attacking the right or the left, but attacking the problem itself, a lot of people on both sides are much more willing to actually do something and change their behavior and to change the scale.
I'm attacking neither right nor left. I think this is a problem with the media. I think the media is the one that is out there gaslighting people. So I think it's more prominent on the left, but it's the same exact problem.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, if I say I think it's more problem on the right, people on the right are going to take that as an attack, whether I mean it to be or not. They just are, right? Because it's like Julia Galef. Are you familiar with her?
No.
She wrote the Scout Mindset. She does a lot of Bayesian kind of thinking. But in the book she writes, she mentions how she tries not to swallow different identities. So she tries not to call herself a feminist, even though she shares a lot of beliefs with feminists. She tries not to call herself a Democrat, even though she shares a lot of beliefs with that. And the reason she does so is because as soon as you swallow those identities, if a feminists do something wrong, you become more likely to defend that wrong thing just because you identify with the group. Does this make sense?
Yeah, look, yeah, but identity creation is an important part of most people's lives. I don't, if you're arguing that nobody should adopt any identity, it's kind of a laughable solution.
I think we should make it much less important in our lives. And I think that we recognize, we should. Do you disagree with this?
I completely disagree.
Okay.
Wait, why do you disagree, Adam?
Identity creation that's part of being human. Everybody needs to know who they are. Everyone needs to build an identity.
The argument that lots of like psychologists and philosophers and this Bayesian person that Whick is talking about make is that like we should be careful about which type of identities we hold so close, right? So it's healthier to have your identity be, a father, a brother, a son, right? All of these things, as opposed to a Democrat, a feminist, a Republican, just things that like put you on teams that aren't necessarily core to who you are.
Sure. I mean, it's good advice. I don't see it as useful advice in the current situation. So
it's not necessarily. Yeah, me neither. But I think it.
It's just like fuck. We're basically fucked.
The use case of it in this situation is understanding that most people have swallowed these identities. I agree with you. Most people, it's very important to them that they're on the right. It's very important to them that they're on the left. So what I'm advocating for here is that we attack this problem not from a right angle or not from a left angle, but just attack the problem because it will get more buy-in from people listening. And so I'm not attacking the right, and they don't feel attacked.
This is like so worthless. I'm sorry. You'll never make a dent in this. You're never carving out audience with this. It's not the case. Social media has made it. The current setup of social media is you need to attack, attack, attack all the time. That's how it is. That's the game right now. Sorry. You either play or you get left behind. That is just like.
And so they're more willing to listen to what I have to say. That's the use case for what I'm advocating for here.
Right. Well, a lot of the reason people get in these identity groups is so that they have someone to attack. So
unfortunately, you are correct with
part
that.
Of the huge,
yeah.
Part of the huge problem. So, well, look, Sitch, did we lose you, or are you just sitting back listening, or
letting you guys go back and forth?
I think like where I'm inclined to agree with you, Adam, is it does seem like
Which Game of Thrones character would you be? I don't know enough about Game of Thrones to answer that question accurately, Barry. Game of Thrones fucking blows. It's an American drama series.
It's interesting that you blame the media, because the media obviously has a lot to do with it, and the narratives that we say about people and about sides have a lot to do with like how people react. But I do think there's like there's differences culturally between the left and the right, and by that I mean the people. And this is like one of the reasons that I ended up voting for Trump, that people on the left really don't like, and they yell at me for being a vibes voter and whatever. But it's like, to me, the people on the left, the people seem kind of crazier to me than the people on the right. Or rather, I felt like I was able to meet more normal people who were like, who believed the same true things that I believed, whatever, on the right or on the center right. And so I do think that the left, there are more people within the culture of the left, right, who believe that violence is an appropriate tool, you know, to use against even like speech that you don't like we were talking about that most recent poll of the young people 18 to 29 or whatever. And Konstantin Kisin said something to this effect. But it's interesting. I'll agree with you. The left seems more inclined to go to violence.
With violence. Is that what you just said? That's what it sounded like.
More people on the left. More people on the left agree that
sounded like
violence.
You said right, but okay. Just
okay. Well, if I might have said
more
right,
people on the left are willing to go to violence. Okay.
And that's because they see speech as violence, right? So it does kind of go back to that conflation, right? They think that violence is an appropriate reaction to violent speech, right? Because they kind of water down what violence actually means. So yeah, I do see this sort of like. And, you know, there could be like lots of reasons for this. Even I wonder if like people who have like served in the military or served as like first responders and stuff are more likely to be right wing. And so like they have a better grip on what like civil war or this type of violence might look like. I'm totally projecting and speculating here, but it does seem like more people on the left are less disturbed by like political violence.
Because they're younger. A lot of the left wing is younger, and the older you get, the more you realize how it's a problem generally, right? I'm talking generally, but anyway.
Yeah.
If there was a conclusive study that showed there was a much bigger problem on the left, that there were more of these people on the left that just thought all conservatives were fascist Nazis, that violence should be used on, and it was like, say it's doubled in the amount of people on the right that think we should use violence to deal with the left, who is a bunch of baby killers and child molesters and whatever. Do you think the mainstream media would report that, or do you think that they would bury that study?
Good question. I think they would report it, but they might skew it. And what I mean by that is they might frame it as right wingers say that left wing is much more violent and therefore the right wing is wrong, right? I can imagine MSNBC or someone doing that, right? Well, you can imagine that too, right?
Of course they would spin it. They'd spin it as hard as they possibly could once they were forced to report on it.
But the media landscape we exist in, a lot of the mainstream media such as Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, these more kind of traditional mainstream organizations, a lot of their coverage and their reporting is influenced by the alternative media sphere. The alternative media sphere's influence on both the public and the mainstream has grown exponentially in the last 20 years. And as we've seen with
total dog shit, there's got to be better content. I mean, the fun is that they're so like empty. No, that's part of the fun. Is it not? Have I missed something?
I think it's that the mainstream is looking for examples of the other side misbehaving and then highlighting those examples and trying to make it sound like it's the entire left or the entire right.
I think all media does that. I think all tribal media does that.
But that's not good. It's probably a bot from Russia that they're signal boosting.
That is also a problem that we need to talk about, is the foreign influence on our media sphere from Qatar, from Israel, from Russia.
I love how he goes to Qatar straight away. Dude, these people are so zogged. It's fucking crazy.
All these other countries that have agendas, and they want to influence the American public's mind so that they can influence the electorate to vote in who will be more supportive of their country's goals and vote out who will be less supportive of those countries' goals. And we have to keep that in mind. But we also have to recognize that a lot of our problems come from in-house and from just the incentives of how clicks, views, etc. Like I'll confess something to you. I almost put and we were talking about this backstage, a very incendiary title for my YouTube channel. I was almost going to title it something very clickbaity
for your live
like
stream.
Yeah, for like the right calls for civil war or some shit. But then I thought about it and I was like, no, I'm here to turn down the temperature. I don't want to do that. But I recognized, and my initial instinct was to do that because I knew I'm going to get more clicks with that title. I'm going to get more attention.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of people out there who've been brainwashed into thinking conservatism.
Yeah, like these people have actually bought into this idea that the only reason anyone dislikes Israel is because Al Jazeera and Qatar fund student groups that brainwash students or something. It's like reverse cultural Marxism. It's like cultural Marxism, but one that Jews can get on board with, you know? Because cultural Marxism, that's kind of like anti-Jewish, you know, they'll talk about how Jews came up with all that stuff and made it go into universities. But if you say about anti-Westernism and Qatari influence, well then it's like Muslims surreptitiously influencing politics. And that's like, we can get on board with that. We can get on board with that one.
Anonymous with fascism, and you're just taking advantage of that market reality. That's the problem.
I agree with you there, right? It is an issue, and it's something I have to, because look, gang, I got to make money. I got to feed myself. So I try to kind of tamp down these incentives, right? That I have to just to do crazy shit like that.
Let's change our title to
Whick calls for civil war.
Well, yeah, all left wingers want you dead, and see what our numbers are.
There you go.
Well, and there are of course like people saying
doing
that.
Right yes.
Well, yeah. Okay, unfortunately, I have to run. I'm very sad I could talk about this much longer. In case you guys are still going.
I was hanging off Talibot's every word, frankly. Really? Her great contributions to this panel won't be here anymore? What?
Finished at work. I'll be happy to jump back on, but thank you for having me. Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks for joining in. Sitch, what do you think of all this?
She just has such a valuable perspective.
No, I think Tali made a good point a while back that both sides in any of these sort of issues or conflicts, they're both going to inherently view themselves as the party that is in self-defense. And because that's the case, and I agree with you, Adam, that there is some objective fact claim.
Wick's head on Charlie Kirk's body.
About,
what's going on?
Who is worse or who's more radicalized at the moment?
Right.
Now, to answer that question, I'm more inclined to think that the left is. I think there's a lot of radicalized elements to the right, and I do think that broadly the right is radicalized in a different way, not in the way of doing violence against the moderate left, at least maybe now, but not before this. I think I've seen two polls recently that show that when these questions of political violence prop up, that the left is a lot more on the side. The majority is still against it broadly, but it shows that a lot more young people on the left are a lot more in favor of the possibility of using political violence than at least on the right. Now, maybe that's just because obviously, there's this Charlie Kirk was killed, so that's like in people's minds. And maybe if it was someone else, I don't know. But it just seems like the young left is far more widespread.
I think there is evidence of Qatar like spending money on stuff. Obviously, they spend money on political influence, but I don't think it's substantiated in any way that they've like totally captured universities or they're behind all the protests or any shit like that.
Radicalization, from my view, is far more spread in its radicalization than the Groypers, who are horrible, but I don't think they're as wide.
The conspiracy isn't really that there's like Qatari money floating around. It's that it's more pervasive and influential than it is. Sort of similar to AIPAC stuff as well a little bit, though obviously AIPAC is actually very pervasive and influential, but people will take it to extremes and act like, do the whole Zog thing unironically. Also, I joke about Zog and I actually believe Zog.
I don't think that they have the numbers, but since both sides do view themselves as being in the self-defense posture, I think that's why I do agree with what you were saying, Wick, which is that every individual person just needs to be okay. It's not really indicative of me to like say, well, I'm not going to do, have the Destiny position, which I think is a bad position. I'm not going to chill out until the other side chills out. Because if that's
I don't believe Zog in everything but name, because the explicit non-Zog position is that the US is the one in control, right? And that's what I believe, is that the US is the one in control. Yeah, Israel spend money to make it so politicians do more advocacy for them. But ultimately, the US wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't in the US's interests to fund Israel and maintain that in the Middle East.
Ever.
Well, and you can always find evidence of people not chilling out. So
Of
you can always
course.
go, look, I found this tweet.
Right. So I do think it's indicative on every individual person to be the one, to be the change, to be the one who says, okay, well, I'm going to chill out. And unfortunately, I think we're kind of living in a very bad timeline.
Yeah, exactly. Even Joe Brother, I would totally be unsurprised if left-wingers are more likely to see justifications for political violence or be able to, come up with logic that would justify political violence. But my understanding is all the data shows that right-wingers do more political violence. So you can sit there and cry about the words and thoughts of left-wingers all you want. But when you actually look at the statistics, it's broadly right-wingers that do the violence, even if they say they don't.
Where honestly, after Charlie Kirk was killed or murdered, most of the large left-wing pundits and commentators and newscasters, they all did do that.
Yeah, I need to get better at reading out chat messages I'm responding to, so I'll read that chat message I just responded to. That probably skews stuff because right-wingers would chomp at the bit. Wait, I wouldn't be shocked if surveys did show leftists being more willing to endorse political violence, but that's because they probably think about hypotheticals and decision trees. That's what I was responding to.
All did say that the political violence was wrong, and I'm saying it's like the worst timeline because even though they did that, there was still so many people
totally unrewarded,
that were just like either not pundits, like just random TikTokers, or just random people or X-accounters out there, and on the internet on the left, or just random commenters on the left who just didn't take that message whatsoever, who were just completely, diehard, fuck them.
Because of the market reality. Like we have to do something about the market. That's what we have to do.
Well, there's an
but
let me just say there's an interesting thing I was thinking because I was trying to wonder like who would be the left-wing version of this if there was like a murder on the scale. And I think on Ryan Long's podcast they posited that it'd be the equivalent of like if AOC was killed. I think that was like the closest I could think of too.
Bernie Sanders or something.
Yeah,
Bernie Sanders would be much bigger.
Bernie Sanders would be much bigger, and I think it would elicit a different reaction because there are a lot of people who
voted for both Trump and Bernie.
Who are kind of Bernie stands, where I don't think that's the case with AOC, except for Sammy, but she's a unique one in that respect. But that if, and I was trying to think like, now obviously this is just a hypothetical, but I was trying to think of like, well, what happened if AOC was killed instead of Charlie Kirk, and what would that look like? And I realized that I think so much of this and so much of people's reactions seems to me to be based in the fear of their audience, because if someone like AOC or Charlie Kirk dies or is killed, and then that commentator comes out and they're like trying to say about how bad it is, there's going to be so many people in their audience that are going to get mad at them. Like, well, you told me this person was evil. You've been telling me this person was bad for so many years. Like, how can you say that them being killed is bad? And so I think like, and all the commentators and creators and people on X, they're all aware of this. And I think that colors their own reaction, is that they're just so terrified of the audience and how the audience is going to perceive that they have to throw all these caveats or kind of tiptoe around the issue.
I think that the market goes both ways, and what I mean by that is that there is
what big commentators, what commentators are avowing it? What commentators are not condemning it, other than Destiny? It is like literally retards on TikTok and Blue Sky. It's like fucking no names. Who is like refusing to condemn or avowing? Like nobody.
The right to showcase these voices that are going crazy, celebrating, condoning, what have you, right? And I think that makes it look like it's a larger cohort than it actually is. I think that they have put these people on a pedestal, and you are seeing all these left-leaning people just be very callous, celebratory, all these things. That isn't to say that they aren't real. They absolutely are, and it's something that left needs to deal with. But I would caution you that you are seeing, like, the right has every incentive to pedestal these people. The right has every incentive to make the left look as bad and as unhinged as possible. I think that we also got to look at, while I think that largely the Democrats' response, the elected representatives' response has been great, I think Trump's response to this was a failure. Did you guys see his announcement?
Yeah.
After the incident?
A good response. Sure.
It was, he had one responsibility, or one main responsibility in this incident, in this incidence, is to tone down the temperature, to remind us that we should be unified, to do all that. The first half of the announcement was fine, nothing wrong with it. But then he goes in how it's all the far left's doing, and we have to punish the far left, and we're going to dismantle them. And he goes on this screed about how he's going to attack the far left. I think that was a failure of his presidential duties, and it did nothing to turn the temperature down, but instead crank the thermostat up. And being he's the president of the United States, I do think that bears greater scrutiny than some rando on TikTok.
So, you know, did you see the governor of Utah's like 20-minute speech about this?
I saw his press release when they
Yeah, it was a
caught the
press release where he was
guy.
telling people to like touch grass and to de-escalate.
Yeah,
and all.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I didn't see anything too terrible about that, right?
Well, no, because yeah, I listened to. I mean, I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened the parts I saw that I listened to the speech sounded very good, and about being unified and kind of detaching from the hate of social media and all this other stuff. And yeah, I mean, I wish that Trump had given some sort of speech like that. I'm not sure Trump is capable of giving a speech like that. I think so much of the problem that we're in now is that the way the sort of political environment is set up is that if you're not angry, then you're perceived of as being a cuck. And everyone understands this on some
This is
sort
literally
of
just no. It's not. It's just Destiny is the only one saying this. Literally, Destiny is the only one with this position at all.
on some sort of deep level.
What like?
And it's like, okay, well then I like if I'm not angry and the other commentator is
It is
angry
crazy,
or the other
man. It's
politician is
actually
angry,
crazy.
then they're gonna yell and then they're gonna call me a cuck and my audience is gonna call me a cuck, so I have to be angry. It just seems like everyone's incentivized to continually be aggressive and on the attack and angry all the time. And then with kind of what you were talking about with how much of this is, being elevated, like, well, it's true, obviously, that comment that Elon Musk put out that I think was stupid and unhinged about how, the left is coming to murder you. It was based on some post that had like didn't even have any, views or really anything whatsoever, and it was being elevated.
It was just this.
And
if Elon Musk hadn't tweeted it, we would have never heard.
No one would have seen that post. And now there are posts that I've seen, and there are videos where people have said the exact same thing, and it has hundreds of thousands of likes. And it's hard to tell. And this is where I think Elon Musk is very responsible. Is that I don't know how much of this is bots. I hope it's mostly bots, but I have no fucking clue. It would make sense that there's massive amount of bots that are flooding the likes and flooding the algorithm to try to get America to be as, at each other's throat as possible. And the fact that Elon Musk, he talked a lot about getting rid of bots on X when he first bought it. And I don't know that, I guess he's given up on that. That seems to have all gone out the fucking window. So I would hope that most of those likes on the we need to kill all the left people or we need to kill all the Charlie Kirk people that are hundreds of thousands of likes, I hope those are all bots. But it's unclear to me that that's the case.
I think that also it is worth noting that even before we knew anything about the shooter, right? Even before we had caught the guy, before we had any evidence, before we even heard about the bullets and things like that.
I can't see any
everyone
reason
was like, it's the left, let's go to war. Immediately. Matt Walsh, Tim Pool, all these people, it's the left, let's go to war. They had no idea. I had no idea. No one had any idea. But immediately the call went out to let's go get them. The left has declared war on us. It's time to fight. We're in an existential crisis.
What was Tim Pool saying? Was he advocating for violence or was he saying, let's go win in the midterms?
I'd have to look at Tim Pool specifically. There was a lot of comments, right? I don't know.
Matt Walsh saying, was he saying like, let's string him up? Time to
Matt Walsh was being super incendiary. And then he sort of slightly pulled back saying, I don't mean violence. I'm just talking about like politics or something. But his original posts were like pretty fucking fire brimstone crazy.
Yeah,
shit.
It was
it does get into like the stochastic. It does get into sort of the hypocrisy, the stochastic terrorism of like, okay, well, there's the claim, which I think is a valid claim, which is if there's all this attacking on Charlie Kirk of being a fascist and that could lead to violence, then obviously, people on the right saying that the left wants to murder you or kill you, I don't see how that wouldn't obviously lead down the same path road.
Yeah,
I did see Tim Pool's chat when it happened.
Okay, look, at least Adam can give that. At least Adam can give the fact that, yeah, if you start saying the left literally wants to kill you, they want to rape your sister and mutilate your kids, and they'll laugh about it, and they want to make you brown. They want to literally trans you into being fucking brown. They want to turn you Indian. They want to fucking turn you Indian. The left literally want to come to your house and turn you Indian and make you that way forever. And they laugh about it and they find it funny. They find it funny to make you Indian. Yeah, obviously people are going to start freaking out. Yeah, at least Adam can give that. Okay, that's more than a lot of people.
Pool's chat was like, I think he had 35,000 live viewers. War was being spammed by all his viewers. War, civil war, let's get them. So Tim Pool himself may not have said it. I think he did tweet out civil war. I'm not 100% on that though. But his comment section, right, as a kind of like a throwback to what Sitch said when even you have content creators who have pretty anodyne, tasteful takes on this, their comment sections are unhinged. Tim Pool's chat room was unhinged. And again, I remind you, this is the moments after it happened when, again, no one knew anything about this. And I think that this exposes the level of hate and radicalization that exists on certain elements of the right. And I think that I don't know if it's that they can't see it because they're on the right, or is it because the media downplays it? I'm not sure, but this is absolutely a thing that exists, and I don't think we should ignore it. And I agree with you, and I'll just concede to you that the left does it too. Yeah, yes, I fought back against the left doing it too, right? I've always fought back against the left doing it too. But we can't ignore that the right is also guilty of this, and it's both. It takes two to tango. Both sides are radicalizing each other, and I am, as I said at the beginning when you asked how I'm doing, I'm scared, Sitch. I'm scared of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't like all there's a lot of theys being thrown around on social media.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, they killed Charlie Kirk. I'm like, who's they? They killed Charlie Kirk? I don't know. And that is disturbing to me because
they did kill Charlie Kirk.
Well, there's
always
some
a good question.
Say we're definitely responsible for this. There's some pundits that
I don't
definitely
know,
contribute.
dude. Come on. It's so crazy to start attributing responsibility to the fucking media for Charlie Kirk's death.
But when
Collective responsibility to the media for Charlie Kirk getting shot by some fucking, like, loser schizo fucking lefty. Like, what? Is it CNN are to blame? CNN have blood on their hands.
Say that's so broad. And everyone interprets that as just the left in general. And, as Whick said, a lot of people are going to say that Whick is left. A lot of people say that we're on the left. And it's like, okay, are we responsible now for this? Like, I don't feel comfortable when even people that I like, people I'm friendly with, are throwing out the they on X just because they're angry. And I understand why people are angry, and that, makes perfect sense to me. But it comes down to something else I post on X, which is, I think so much of this is people are afraid of being called cucks. So much of it is just, you have to be angry because if you're not angry, you're a cuck.
There was a meme after the Destiny.
Wait, sorry, I might be seeing content. I might be seeing Kino.
They're going to be wearing their Laura Piana or whatever it's called. They're going to be wearing their Brooks Brothers polo.
My guy.
So
it's my guy.
You can still get the covert, right? But it's better material, better quality.
It's my guy, non-font.
Right? You upgrade one day from
it's our guy,
Walmart
non-font.
to Uniqlo, right? And the shirt looks a little nicer, fits a little better, lasts a little longer. It's only $5 more, so it's what you're willing to pay for.
Dude, we need like Smash intro screen for non-fun.
Cheapest sweatshop labor.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You specifically go for the garments made by children.
Exactly.
The children
the best
bargain
prices
bin
for non-fun, right?
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Yeah, brands are weird, and
yeah, I thought that we might have gone off in a different direction than it did that. It didn't seem like there was much commentary on it, but not everything gets to win.
Brands aren't weird, right? Luxury brands are
cute,
because they're getting away with charging so much because they're like they're established, right? That's people are willing to pay for them. There's some notoriety to their thing, but no, brands aren't weird. I think branded clothing is like not like screaming the brand, but like there is something to be said about like certain companies use better materials. Certain companies do just make better clothes, right? And so
what's this? Okay, sorry, I'm just saying a lot of stuff get posted.
I don't feel like Hassan is contributing much to my chances of getting murdered. Okay, when I do the TPUSA event we were supposed to do in 3 days, that's still going on, and I'll be there. Okay, and hopefully it's not the last thing I ever do. But I don't feel like Hassan is contributing much to me getting murdered there. I do feel like the president of the United States is, and all of these guys are. Right? That's the
okay.
So it's like I don't know if
that sounds not so bad after all, huh?
Oh, that's
there
true.
are brands that are gaudy.
There's a range of quality.
Tell you guys too. By the way, the unfucking America.
Have we considered perhaps it might be better strategy to, instead of always crying about how radical Hassan is, instead forming a big tent and all being against the same people? Has Destiny ever considered that might be good strategy before? Has Destiny ever thought about? Has anyone ever presented this idea to Destiny? Do we think?
I'm specifically bringing up like offline. This is the one that was really egregious to me when I looked it up because I had never heard of the brand. And they had some shoes, okay, and they had a little tag thing on
it.
You
know who Virgil Abloh is?
No,
the guy has a Maybach. He has a designed Maybach.
I'm not saying that whoever made it.
He was Louis Vuitton's head designer for
it's just not a brand I'm familiar with. Okay, I mean, every once in a while you miss a brand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sure, it's fine, but and I'm sure it's wildly successful, especially if they can sponsor. They have their name front and center on Crawford's dick. I'm sure they're fucking gonna be able to afford to spend some money. So I'm going there expecting this to be kind of whatever, and so I see the fancy shoes and I'm like, okay, these are cool. They're ugly. I wouldn't wear them, but hey, I can see people liking these. But then I get to the t-shirts, and they literally look the same like Cottonelle t-shirt that like you could get at Walmart. And then they basically just have their own version of that, and they just don't have that brand on there. And then they literally looks like they put a screen press on there with like the cheapest designs. And I'm
Dude,
just like,
they are going into fucking overdrive with this. Going live on Rumble 9 p.m. CT to address a smoking gun in the Charlie Kirk Israel conspiracy and the plot to frame gropers in this murder. Dude, they are literally full steam ahead on the Israel conspiracy.
this is a $600 shirt.
Yeah.
And like people are gonna recognize that brand, but if you go wear like a polo, like you said, they're not gonna be like, oh, what is that? That's Walmart. I'm like, that's crazy. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, but that's because like the artist himself made.
When did you guys become bitches? Like, when did you grow vaginas? Why? What is this? All this fucking fashion talk? Like, all of you.
I didn't start it.
First of all, in order to get pussy, you have to understand women, and part of understanding women is enjoying fashion.
I'm wearing my Versace fucking glasses. Like, oh my god.
Well, I love fashion. I like fashion, dude. I'm sorry. You
should be ashamed of yourself.
Why would I be ashamed of myself? I succeeded. I have a wife. We're chilling, right? So I'm good on my end.
When you latch onto these stupid brands, right? You're essentially surrendering your brain to this like fucking a massive conglomerate that's convinced you that their name means something. It means more than your name, actually. It means more than the fabric that is
true. I don't wear brands.
It's bullshit.
I don't wear brands, but there's something to be said about certain brands and their quality.
No,
there just is. What do you mean? Fuck that. I'm not talking about
you
like
should buy
Versace, right?
$50 shirts. No, $50 pack. Hold on, $50 packs of shirts from Temu. Got like 200 little white shirts, and there you go. That's all you need.
I mean, hold on. I use Shein. I use Shein, but even within Shein, right? Even within Shein, there are certain brands that have good quality. So like my jeans that I buy, right? They're $15, $20, but the brand that I bought one pair from and the pair that I bought another from, you can tell the clear difference. And one is a really cheap, it's gonna fall apart brand, and the other one isn't. And so, like, no, there is something to be said about quality from certain brands. I'm not saying about I'm not saying about $80 t-shirts, right? I'm saying like the difference between a $10 Walmart t-shirt and a $15 Uniqlo t-shirt is vastly different in terms of like the quality of what you're spending your money on, the return on the investment of what you're making, right? How long or how durable something that you're spending $10 to $15, $20, $30 on matters, especially when it comes to like something like a t-shirt, right? If I want to wear a t-shirt and I can only get 2 washes of it before it's like deteriorating and looks like shit, well then yeah, I'm gonna want to spend maybe the extra $5, $10 to get a better t-shirt that'll last me longer and I'm getting better use out of.
Nah, fuck that.
I mean, yeah.
This is, I think even thinking about this, right? And as deep as you have, right? Think about it any deeper than you would like fucking which like plastic cup you're gonna use, right? When you're at like a party or something. Is like just bitch shit. It just tells me that you've been like your brain's been invaded by women, right? And now you're like regurgitating their.
I'm the baddest bitch in any room I'm in. First, and
I know. Okay,
understood. Not like listen, it's the Lebanese in me. All right, Lebanese men are the
actually that makes sense. That makes sense. Lebanese and Armenian guys, is exactly the same.
Yeah, so I mean, in Texas, we like to be outrageous with our outfits. Have you seen our cowboy hats? Come on, bro.
Wait, but also you've seen how I dress. I wear pretty plain shit. It's just my style comes in like the jeans, the accessories, the hoodie, the extras, the ensemble.
You should just get custom clothing. Just get
In fact, you should buy
actually.
You should buy them from me.
Because Doobie has money, right? Doobie has money.
Thanks for that prime.
So he knows to go get custom clothing. He knows that clothing matters. So when he says no, the brands don't matter, that you can't be like that, dude. Can be like, well, brands don't matter, and then be like,
they don't matter. There is something to be said. There is something to be said for what sociologics say, because I do make clothing, like a lot of custom clothing, right? And usually it's like where it doesn't matter. Say like a suit, and it's like a mass-produced suit, and then I rip out the inside, we do leather or something. Then I would agree with matter. I will say there's a definite like difference between like Jildan and like some of these great value, Chinese brands in the t-shirt. Like they'll just hold up.
You can buy white tees at the gas station.
Yeah, like if I get a Blake Crooks and Castle hat, it's gonna last a lot more than if I just buy like the Jildan flat back and then like I modify it. It's just a higher quality. But like I think there's a point that it reaches that it can't be higher quality.
Of course.
But, like other than being like ludicrous, like, oh yes, we used Italian lambskin, 300, like whatever. Then yeah, sure.
That's you are like just paying level. For like the brand.
Yeah, then yeah, at that point you're paying for all the different expensive items. But when it comes to like mass produced anything that you're gonna custom, then yeah, I think there is a brand production
like
quality.
Like jewelry, right? Don't go buy designer jewelry. jewelry, right? Like a Van Cleef bracelet, which is like all the rage right now, which is like the little 4-leaf clover with the gold. Well,
Get some moissanite, boys.
right?
Dude, fucking Drew Pavlo at the same shit again. So it wasn't enough for Drew Pavlo to be rightfully fined for refusing to move when he was doing a protest outside the fucking mall, outside the Chinese embassy at the mall in Australia, when he was rightfully fined for protesting on private property. It wasn't enough to do that. It wasn't enough to lose the appeal like 3 times and have your fine go from $1,000 to like $30,000. It wasn't enough to try to hand yourself in to be in prison for a period of time and then be refused by the Australian state because they just don't want to fucking bother putting you in prison. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I can't remember how that shook out. I think it was that. Or maybe did he speak to his lawyer second dad and he told him not to or something. I can't remember, man. Something happened there. Now, he is saying, lol, I just realized the University of Queensland tried to block our Charlie Kirk vigil, but I didn't realize. So he did a Charlie Kirk vigil at the University of Queensland, but I didn't realize because I didn't check my student email. Dear Barclay and Drew, I'm writing to you regarding the public vigil you have planned to mark the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. I noticed a social post that you've indicated the event will take place at UQ on Sunday evening. In accordance with the university's land use policy, approval for events are required. And you have not sought approval. The appropriate risk and safety protocols have not been implemented. Therefore, it will not be possible to hold the event at UQ. I kindly ask you to update the event details online to reflect an alternative venue. I understand it's a difficult time. I'm sorry for any inconvenience it may cause. Please get fined. I hope he gets fined again. I am praying he gets fined again.
Where they were like, they had a picture of me and saying, we should just cuck out more.
Yes.
And yeah,
yes.
That's all it was. It's because and there's people in my chat right now who are very mad at me because I'm not pushing back enough, whatever that means. I think I've disagreed with you this whole time, at least Adam, a lot. But I don't think, I don't know. I just don't know what they want. And I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, drats. It means I won't graduate for the 9th year in a row.
I don't see it as cucking at all. Like
I can't remember how many years he's been at uni. I don't know how many years he's been there.
A violent solution is not going to last 15 minutes.
Of course. Right. But that's because you're, smart and mature.
So we're not.
Understand.
Yeah. So look,
Yes.
we need a real political solution.
Yes.
And I think we can't live in an environment where
what's the
you're
solution?
allowed to just completely turn people into delusional NPCs that hate their political opposition.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, and maybe I try to think of a way to say this that's not horrible. So let me try to think about a frame this. Kind of going to this argument that Decimate on your screen that a lot of people make, where they're like, well, we're
back on this because I mean, is this on Charlie Kirk? Yeah.
Communist Japan.
What if the school gave them an option to work for the school to like be a janitor?
Yeah,
like
Charlie,
for a class, they could be taught this and they could earn like minimum wage.
Sure.
Like as a janitor.
No. They earn credits. Like.
This sucks. How did it? How is it on this topic and not Charlie Kirk? This sucks.
To be better until the right is better, till the other side is better.
They'll never see the other side.
I know. But if you think about it, that doesn't even really. That's not a logical position to make, because no one's saying to people on the left, well, you're not allowed to keep advocating, for get out people to vote. You're not allowed to keep advocating that you should be politically against the Republicans and Donald Trump and all this other stuff. No one's saying that you shouldn't continually make videos saying about how their policies are shit and all this other stuff. All they're saying is don't basically demonize these people to such an effect that it makes killing them seem morally just. Okay?
It works.
If even if you're on the left and you think the right is doing it to you, okay, so what? You can still be just as politically effective. You can still do all the same content you're doing without going to that level. You can still get people to come out to vote without going to that level. So it is kind of like a whataboutism in the effect of it's not relevant to changing your own behavior. You're not going to suddenly be like there's this idea from both left and right that like, oh, if you don't demonize the other side with the vitriol of 1,000 suns, somehow that makes
totally
you
painful.
defend.
Both of these are totally painful. Both
Instead
these
of
suck.
going to a class, like one of their classes could.
That would be the trade-off, right? You're learning a skill. Teachers get a free.
Yeah, both of these are terrible panels. We need to find something else to watch. These both suck. What else happening?